I've not seen this, so we're watching this together as friends on the internet. I have some good news for once. If you can even believe it, I actually have something positive to say. Uh, we mailed this in on Monday. The actually on Saturday, I want to say, maybe even Friday afternoon, but it was arrived and stamped through by Wednesday, and of course that is the Articles of Incorporation for the United States Internet Preservation Society, incorporated in the fine state of South Dakota, mostly because they don't have any kind of state level requirements for nonprofit reporting. It doesn't really matter where it's incorporated because, of course, we will operate on the federal level across state lines for the purposes of preserving the internet. As stated here in the purpose, this is a scan because we literally physically mailed these in part because I'm heavily autistic, chat, and when we incorporate these, we had to file an addendum, and that addendum, because the main incorporation document for South Dakota is a boilerplate template, and I realized that the boilerplate template and the addendum document included a lot of cross contamination and repeated information. So I suggested to Hardin that perhaps we should just mail in a single article of incorporation and not one with an addendum. And he said that's fine, but you have to mail it in. So since we were already mailing it in, I said, you know what? I should change the font. So I am probably the only person in the history of the world to use Quattrocento, the obvious body font of the Kiwi Farms, in a legal document. But you know what? I just wanted to grant me this one thing. I ask, grant me this one thing. I would like to use my preferred font on this document. So I did. The main thing, purpose. The corporation will strengthen, expand, and defend digital rights for online consumers and services in ways that preserve the American way of life. I took a lot of inspiration from this from Apex purpose because I looked around and see like, okay, how do you do it? How do you do it right? And that's what I came up with. I have already applied for an employer identification number so that we can pay our taxes if we need to pay taxes. Generally, as a nonprofit, you don't pay taxes, but there are certain circumstances we may encounter where I have to, even if we don't pay taxes, you still have to file how you pay people and stuff with W-2s, so you need an EIN. And having an EIN means we can now apply for nonprofit status. We picked a 501c3 instead of a 501c4, as I may have mentioned in the past, because a 501c3, as a completely nonprofit entity, which can be deducted on your taxes, has one really big sticking point that I deliberated on for quite a while and decided that the trade-off wouldn't be worth it. A 501c3 can never lobby. It can never try to influence politics. It can write opinion pieces. It can file, I forget what you call those documents where you file with the Supreme Court, like a supporting statement. It's a Latin word that literally means friend of the court. You can do that, but you can't actually talk to any politicians or anything of the sort. And I feel like I want to do that. I want to lobby. I want to have teeth. I want to actually try to accomplish things and not just sit on Twitter or on a blog that nobody fucking reads, seething about how bad everything's getting fucked over. And if that means that I sacrifice some of your money to the IRS, that is a loss I am willing to take. But no, most people aren't going to itemize their taxes anyway. I feel like it's the appropriate course of action. So, the other thing worth mentioning is that there are 3 people who act as incorporators. I'll just scroll down to the bottom here and show the signature. I think that's more interesting. I did practice my signature before signing it so that I would not be relentlessly bullied for being Dadua Man again. So I did practice this time so that my scribbles are more attractive. So Matthew Hardin, of course, my long-term attorney who has represented me in many different issues and provides routine legal input on certain things. Me, the star that I am, shining so brightly, the source of all positive polyism in this sector, and then someone named Kevin Crawley, who I will introduce at a later date. It's a very serendipitous thing. It's good for me, bad for him. He's very well aware of this, but I feel like we should wait until everything is smoothed out and we're actually soft launching before I talk about how my pick for third chair came about, because it is an interesting story, chat. I am not left-handed. Here's the stamp. Here we go. Where's the signature from? Monet Johnson. Surprisingly, not a black woman. I thought for sure she would be. State of South Dakota, Office of the Secretary of State, signed by the Secretary of State. There we go. All done, chat. Next step is, as I mentioned, the IRS. And in that meantime, because I believe it takes several months to accomplish that nonprofit status, we're going to be setting up a blog. We've already got the GitHub organization going up. I moved over the private forum software repo from my account to that account. I moved over the Stream Nexus. Part of the scope of the nonprofit will be developing nonprofit tools that benefit, of course, the American way of life on the internet. And I believe that ways to bypass single platform limitations is in that scope. And hosting your own website and having a forum with free software is also within that scope. Ta-da! I thought I was playing around. You thought I wasn't serious. There's no way this Josh guy is super serious about all this stuff. Surprise! I am. I am very serious. I'm a serious person. Don't ever doubt me. When I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, chat. Might take me 2 years, but I'm gonna do it. That's stupid.